listen to our verdict.
The hardest game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Jay.
I think I support that.
I think it's the hardest one.
I mean, it's definitely not the most enjoyable. I'll tell you that.
It's a 10 on Moe's hardness scale. 1943 in diamonds. That's their equivalents. And I think it. That means I am saying that it's harder than Castlevania and Dracula, and that is what we have been using, or I have been using, as my NES benchmark for NES, or my benchmark for NES hard here on the pod. And I'm afraid 1943 will wear that crown until further notice.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I didn't finish this, so I mean that's a point in its cap for difficulty. But also, like Castlevania games like that, they feel different than flying shooters. Like at the end of the day, this is still a flying shooter. I don't put them in the same vein as those games, and it's just not a good flying shooter to me. Like they're just too much. Like the manual tells you nothing. Like learning all these different things that I could have done that I had no idea even existed unless I had a Nintendo Power at the time, which clearly I did not have that magazine at the time. Like not knowing about the Super Shot, not knowing about the different ways that the systems work. And then once you're figuring that out, actively trying to be like, all right, do I balance the energy because I need to freaking stay alive with all this craziness? Or do I need to get the power-ups? And then trying to get the power-ups to be the right one that you want. It's one thing if they're floating around, right? And I feel like I can speak on this as a flying shooter aficionado. Like, give me the opportunity of different color things flying on so I can go grab the one that I want. Or only give me that. But like the whole shoot it over and over and let it like change multiple times so that I'm focused on this one thing for more than a second while all these things are flying at me is just... It's just too much, and it's not fun. Like I didn't have fun, and then on top of it,
see, to me that's the difference. To me that is fun. That again, that bifurcation is if I don't have that in some way, shape, or form, and yes, it is heavy in this game more than any other, which is why it's difficult,
necessary. It's necessary. You have to. It's not even an option. You have to, or you will fail. But then on top of that. Like not having the NES advantage, not having the option to do turbo, and it's come on now, man. Come on. Like it's just too many levels. This feels like a classic case of we took this game that was popular in the arcade.
Right. That's there.
We ported it to the NES, and because people are going to pay $40 or whatever, $50 for this, we got to add more levels. So they just repetitiously adding more and more, and it's like.
Well, I told you, like I feel like there's some level visually it's relatively repetitive, but I felt that they made enough effort to change the nuances of both the individual way those enemy sprites behaved, and then the way they intermingled. You know what I mean? There is like intelligent design there. It is not just here's that like it's not just a bank of code that they just kept citing and pulling back up, wrote the same way every time. They like thought about it and like, okay, that's going to exist in an ecosystem with this type of thing in this particular stage. Like to me, it all felt like intelligent design at least, and that it's hard as fuck.
To me, they just added different colors to the stages to represent different times of day, and just threw more planes at it. Like it was just more and more of the same. Whereas like you got Philios. You had like visually stunning different stages.
Well,
yes, it's on the Genesis.
Yes,
it's on the Genesis.
That's not fucking fair.
But like, I mean, I could pick multiple flying shooters, which like give me different kinds of enemies. This is just planes over and over, planes, ships, okay. And I get it. I am biased against war games. I love Call of Duty, but that's like very detailed and different. Whereas this is just like you got your stock ships, green or white. You got your planes, and then you got like ship boss, and it just felt like I was doing the same thing. To me, outside of the color palette, I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over and over, and it wasn't fun enough. It was too much high too much level of stress, high level of stress constantly to try to maintain the pickups and keep that versus the level of fun I was having while doing it. It just did not. I'm not saying it's not a good game. I'm not saying it didn't do some things well, and there's more complexity to it than I thought. But there's just it's out of balance. Like the complexity, the difficulty, and the stress level compared with the level of fun is just way out of balance. It's way out of balance.
It is. It's and that. Yeah, I mean, that's the hard thing of it. Is that and I think it's not really. Like,
are you going to tell me you had fun? Did you have fun playing it, Josh?
A lot of the time, yes. That last hour and a half that's on video documentation, no. Because then it's just like, fuck you, I'm on a mission. But I did want to do that. And I've quit a game where I was like, fuck this. It's not, It's not that I won't quit a game, It doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened. So...
I mean, is this Captain Skyhawk level? This might be Captain Skyhawk.
No, way better visually, control-wise than Captain Skyhawk, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, man. There's a lot of shit that pisses me off, but like all of it is intelligent design, I think. Like it's really, really, really fucking hard, but none of it was bullshit hard. None of it was, I don't know, none of it was Fester's Quest. None of it was fucking... I don't know, Dino Ricky, like some of those fucking games that are just like, what the fuck? Like it's not intelligently difficult. It's just, they just kept adding shit till right. You died.
No, the enemies I get, those very like I said, simple. Stack on more.
But they weren't just stacked on though. They weave together in a way that like they complemented each other. Like I said, when they started adding those fucking random ass fucking gray planes in that just fucking kamikazed into you, that's in direct contrast to the sequence where you're just dealing with these very, very structured formations of the green grunt planes. You know what I mean? And like it's meant to undermine a convention that you think you had gotten into or had developed, you know what I mean? And like when they did the biplanes, where like they sent you a bunch of them with the same interval, and then out of nowhere just change that right in the middle of the stage. You're like, fuck! Like you think you have figured out, like, no, you don't. Here's a different intelligent change. And it's not just more, there is like a very, very discernible choice to change what you are doing, what you've developed to deal with this thing, and turn that on its head. And
yeah,
I don't know, man. That's the only enjoyment you can get out, other than just like you said, kind of like the feeling good vibe of like I'm just blowing shit up and like,
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's part of my thing. When I
just saw a guy fly into a plane logo too, also to go to a depot, just so you know. So cows, bamboo shoots, and a plane.
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's part of one of the reasons why I like. I don't know. A game's got to be. It really is game by game dependent, because I'm like, Contra was still war, but that's fantasy because there's aliens and things like that. That's not a flying shooter, but like I'm thinking about why I like other flying shooters better, and they just do things differently. The weapons are more fun. Like I hate the weapons here. Like it's just not outside of the picking them up. It's just like.
It is. There isn't a ton of variance,
and it's just kind of like.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's not a ton of variance to them.
And when I play a flying shooter,
but they have to. They also have to kind of keep it in the story world too. You can't just have crazy ass fucking lasers and stuff because it's fucking.
No, I know, but I think that's what my thing is. Like, I just don't enjoy. There's not enough here to make me enjoy it to want to keep.
Like, that's how I always was about 42. Is I had never tried this. Like 42, yeah, that doesn't appeal to me either. World War II is not something I really care about either necessarily from like a game playing perspective. Anyways, it's interesting from a historical perspective, perhaps. But yeah, I don't play a lot of games set in that world with any sort of like heightened interest. So yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I also like you can only do so much with this, and
yeah, like if you gave it to me as a gift back then because of the password system. Yeah, if I need a flying shooter, I'll come back to it when I'm in the mood for that. But I don't know. It's really hard to play.
With the passwords, dude. Yeah, like honestly, we talk about like these arcade comparisons. like, drop another quarter, come back later, fucking play this, giving it more content because it's on a home console now. Like, there are probably kids with that memo section full of every password for this game, and they spent months coming back and coming back.
Especially if you had like an uncle or grandpa or somebody, who was in a war, military, who told you any kind of stories. Like, I could see it. I could just, for me, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just rough. It's just a rough go.
Tough, yeah. Another Castlevania, like one of my big metrics, is like how close to the edge does the final boss push me, am I getting that, like when it dies finally, if it was that hard, like it should be, like what do I feel like, and
how
like,
did you feel?
Right. And I was you can see it all in the video, of course, but like the realization that I got the rug pulled out from under me pissed me off, and it was the same with Castlevania, and I gave it the blessing almost exclusively on this basis, I think, maybe, because there's so much about that game's broken, like we just talked about when going through 3. Like, I was like, that final boss battle, I'm like, fuck, I'm just hammered on it, like, go, do it again, fuck you, no way, like, I'm so close, I'm getting closer every time, it's hard as fuck, but I see the path, like, that's all there for this, dude, and like, I feel like that is another Castlevania comparison that I have to, I've kind of established what my fucking criteria is for this. I feel like it would be an undermining of previous blessings to not give this one. Like, fuck you, Dracula, fuck you, Totaku, your ass is grass, and I'm the fucking lawnmower, here I come. Like, that was here for this fucking game for sure. And I think that's one thing that has me leaning towards yes for sure. Yeah. And then I've already said it, but like the simple shit, I mean, even if you don't want to say, I think 1988, but particularly 1988, like I just don't see how. I think the controls are perfect to me. I do like the music. I thought there's a ton of tracks. I actually liked it, and the stat tree stuff for the plane flowed well, and like I was interested in it. There's tons of games where you have that kind of mechanic, and you can just kind of like, I don't care, just give it to whatever. But like I saw the advantages that each one of those gave. They all meant something to me in some way, shape, or form, and I was making true choices when I was fucking adding to each one when I was adding to it, and doing that to a fucking flying shmup too is like next level shit, especially again to care about it every single time I encountered it. Like all that sidebar shit, really good. So
it's funny. Yeah. I would counter all of that and say, yeah, the statue stuff felt like, oh, I gotta, I'm gonna put in, I have it behind me, I'm gonna go offensive first, and I'm gonna put in special weapon time limit. But I didn't really feel the difference, like between adding the offense, defensive. Like I didn't feel it as I was going through. So it just kind of still felt like, again, I was doing a bunch of stuff, and it was just more stuff that I had to like think about and work through versus like an actual like, ooh, now it takes me one less hit to defeat this thing. You know what I mean? Like I didn't see those.
Sure, it's not as visually measurable for those parts, but I just kind of trust that there is. Like I said, I noticed when I had to start shooting grunts twice. So I knew there was like a gradient to that, how much damage you're doing and how much, whatever, how quickly you're killing shit. So like I just assumed that the levels were getting harder, the enemies were getting more difficult to kill, and this shit was kind of counterbalancing, so to continue to pay attention to those or you would regret it, So no, I couldn't 100% discern the exact difference, but I did see that changing in the game and just assumed that those systems balanced out. And then, obviously the energy level and time limit, those that are just counters on the screen, you can see those changes. So those have an effect.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, just overall, did I have fun? Didn't really have fun. Would I recommend it to someone else? I would not. But would I consider playing it again? Or, via remastered version if available? Perhaps, but I think that's only because I'm thinking it would be completely remade in a different game and visually better, different. You know what I mean? So I can't give it a blessing. I just can't.
There's a VR World War II Fight Slim. I have never gotten, but I bet it's kind of cool. It'd be kind of interesting to like be in a cockpit and like. doing all this shit would be pretty fucking wild. Probably nausea-inducing as hell, but
I'm sure.
Probably pretty cool. Well, yeah, man. I think you didn't talk me out of it. I think King Lorik bestows his blessing on 1943. And yeah, I'm just shocked. I can't believe you weren't head over heels for it. The whole time I was getting into it, I was like, "Fuck, Jay's gonna fucking love this." Jesus Christ, this is exactly the stock fucking.
That's like the second time.
Yeah. I know it's funny. Like, it makes me think a lot about like. I mean, we know our gaming tastes are relatively different, so I guess it shouldn't be that much of a shock, but it's funny to me that within even a genre that I perceive to be something you like, there either both can be enough nuance and is enough nuance for you personally to not, for me to just, oh, this is a shmup. I like it. Jay always likes shmups. Why doesn't like? Just to me, it's just surprising to me to learn that can be there. That there's that much of a gradient to.
I like them, so it's got to be like a standout and have the high bar for them.
Okay. Fair enough. So split blessing. We close out 2023 on a split blessing.